Here is the Food Tech GCSE and why you should take it. Now then, the Food Tech GCSE is not just for people who want to become chefs. Food Tech, you get to learn all about food and making it. It's such an important life skill on knowing how to make and eat and just know the science behind good food. So, you should just take it. So, first of all, there are 5 different main topics in the actual series. So you have the food and nutrition section where you learn all about what food is and what it does for you, how to eat good food, pretty much. Um, and then you also have food provenance, so that's where food comes from, and the sustainability of food. Then you have food choice, which is what factors influence the different things that people choose to eat. And then you have food safety, which is extremely important and need to know for when you grow up and move out. Sort of important. So how to handle, cook, and store food correctly and safely. Now then, you don't just learn that. No. There are also many, many practicals. And in those practicals, you get to learn lots of food preparation and cooking skills. Now then, you get to learn the sort of like core skills of cooking, baking, etc. So you get to learn, weighing, measuring, selecting equipment, and judging, the sort of readiness of a dish. You also get to learn knife skills, which are really important. You get to know how to use cooking equipment properly and sort of like what the different things you need to use for different dishes, and then also the different sorts of cooking methods which are better for you, what you need for different ones, so like steaming, roasting, frying, simmering, poaching even, and then also making dough, making pastry, which is really cool and 10 out of 10 would recommend. It's a great thing to be able to learn how to know. And then also raisin agents and setting mixtures, so that's if you want to do some like nice desserts, if you want to make some cupcakes, why that sort of stuff does what it does. But yeah, anyway, now you're here to know how you're assessed on that in the sort of GCSE stage. So it's split into 2 parts. It's 200 marks in total, and the first part is your paper, which is worth 50% of your mark, or overall grade, and that is just 20 marks on multiple choice, and then 80 marks on surrounding questions on your knowledge of food science and theory. That's all fine, right? Dead easy as long as you know your stuff, right? And then the second half is NEA, which stands for non-examined practical, non-examined assessment. Sorry, not NEP. Now then, that's split into another 2 sections. Now the first part is worth 30 marks, and that's your experiments. So that is sort of split into like different experiments based on a brief on food science. Okay, so you have to do that and present it really nicely in like 1,500 words, I think, on a document. And then the next part is your like absolute cinema, absolute cinema, but your 3-hour practical. Now this is where you have to make 3 different dishes, not starter, main meal, dessert. No, none of that. It's just dishes. All right, you get to make 3 dishes. You have to make a time plan for it, and that's worth 70 marks. And honestly, that's again why I would take it, because you get to express yourself so creatively. So now I'm here to talk about my one. So I have 2 different NEAs. So the first one is my experiment, which I had to. I've already completed it. Which the brief was, so you get a brief for each of them. And my first one was finding out how the preparation, storage, and cooking can prevent enzymic browning or oxidization in fruits or vegetables. Now then, I found that to be a really, really nice brief, because what you had to do was you just had to prepare something, maybe cook it and store it. I did 2 of those for each of those. So 2 for preparing, 2 for cooking, and 2 for storing. It might have been 3 actually, maybe 2 or 3. Right. It was a really nice brief, and then you just have to take a bunch of photos, make sure that they're all really nice photos as well. Read your name, you can read all the brief, everything else, and then you just have to break it down and use a bunch of sciencey words to just sort of say what it is and why you've done it, and why it's then prevented enzymic browning. But yeah, that's that. Anyway, so I am also given a brief for my NEA2, and that brief was to, well, you can choose out multiple of them, but I decided to choose to make 3 dishes for a Christmas family event or any sort of event with buffet food. So you're thinking canapes, sort of finger food, that sort of stuff. And I already know what I want to do, but it's just about trying to fit it in 3 hours. That's the real, that's the real hard one. Anyway, so I'm sitting here doing 2 different bao buns, with a vegetarian filling and a pork filling. So that vegetarian one will be with Asian slaw, and then the meat one that will be with a like sticky pork, something like that, along those lines. Really sort of nice. Anyway, and then I'll also be doing mini calzones because they're just really great. You have a bunch of flavors that shows dough, a bunch of different techniques, and then also mini lemon meringue tarts. Now I think that'll be quite good because again, what you want to do in this NEA2 is show a lot of techniques, and so by choosing these really technical dishes, you're able to show that, and of course, prove that you're actually a semi decent cook. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video and want to learn about my journey on becoming a chef and how you can do it too, maybe follow on, give us a like. Anyway, see you in a bit.